Hey, good morning. It's Tom Llewellyn with Civil Governance talking about recipes for success. And today it's what's a recipe for inflation? How do you get it down, or what causes it to get so big? And I always like to start with a little bit of a joke, like about economists. And so imagine this, so you get three economists, they want to go hunting. They got their rifles ready, they go out, right? And they find a deer, it's a couple 100 feet away, and they're, behind a blind, and they're getting ready. So one economist, takes aim and shoots, and it's like 10 feet to the left. Second economist goes, I can do better than that. And he shoots, and it's 10 feet to the right. And the other guy goes, perfect, we hit him. And it's like, everybody, all of us would go nuts. But, on average, those two bullets would put a bullet right through them. That's kind of the way economists think at the big level. They're working with averages, so 10 feet to the left, 10 feet to the right, well, that, it's just right. So, but same with, everything we do in economics. You get these big macroeconomic kind of waves of averages, and you're trying to figure out, oops, what happened? So when inflation averaged 9% one month, that's big news. It's like, how do you take care of that? So what is it, I guess, number one? And a lot of causes, there's something called wage price spiral, where prices go up, so businesses say, well, no, I got to raise wages, or the employees demand higher wages. It's just sensible. You want to make sure your employees are covered by things that are otherwise out of their control. There's things like trade. Is trade inflationary? It's a one-time inflationary thing. So if your average tariff goes from 5% to 10% in 1 year, but stays steady, it's inflationary, not 5% inflationary, because trade's only a smaller portion of the economy, about 40%. So it's going to make up some of that, but not all of it. So, it does increase inflation a bit, but the next year it does not. What does cause and can cause long-term problems? Well, there are two different things. It's when the government spends money ineffectively, and it costs us more to run the government. Well, that's a long, ongoing expense, especially as it has over the last 25 years. Increase the amount of spending that's not very well thought out, right? And it costs us more and more money, either in debt or in taxes. But the biggest problem generally comes in two ways. One fiscal, and one more around monetary policy. So one is fiscal, in that if you looked at the dollars spent during COVID that came directly to us, that's fiscal, right? Came directly to us. And a lot of us that were employed said, well, I'll spend it, right? We had no need for it, but nevertheless it came. So you had a lot of extra spending, increased demand. What happens when demand goes up? Prices go up, right? Because supply can't keep up. They got to figure out how to do that, right? So that was inflationary. The second inflationary thing is when you add money to the economy. And it needs to be added, just so you understand. So when the economy grows 3%, if you still only have, let's say $100 and it goes to 103, but you only got $100 in the economy, you're gonna have a problem. It's a money supply problem. So there's always gonna be a little growth there, and you want to make sure you have the right amount of money in the economy to cover the growth, right? But when you get beyond that, when monetary policy either borrows money or sells treasuries or both, and it's too much, you can create a problem. Now, the bigger problem, and it's called hyperinflation, is when government just prints it. There's nothing backing it. They're just printing money. They're not borrowing, just printing money. And that's very inflationary, very bad, because you have more money supply in the economy than you can support, right? So prices go up. So you look at like Venezuela, they have unbelievable amount of inflation, primarily because people are just printing money. They're not borrowing it because nobody's gonna give them money, right, to on debt basis, because they don't pay it back or haven't in the past, or they have no means today. So we kind of don't have that problem. Most of our stuff is purchased debt, which again can be slightly inflationary, and otherwise not exactly healthy otherwise. But yeah, our inflation in this last time was a little bit of a combination of both, especially over the last 15 years where the money supply expanded for the fiscal blow up in 2009, but we just kept doing it, right? And we kept it at low interest rates, so encouraged people to borrow. So it also causes a little bit of inflation because it increases demand. Now, here's the good news. Overall, if you look inflation for this century, it's averaged a little over 3%, which is not a bad inflationary tale, right? We're at 2.7 right now. I had a friend come up and he goes, well, I can feel the inflation. It's awful, right? You know, it's like here's the facts. Quit reading whoever you're reading, and here's the facts, right? 3% wouldn't be bad. 2.7, 2.5, that's actually pretty good. Getting down to 2% again, like the Fed wants to do, yeah, well, good luck. The way the world trade is set up right now, with China taking complete advantage of the trade system to give us low prices, which is good, but as a complete adversary, using all of our money to build up a military and to be contentious in the worldwide trade world. So not good, right? So at the end of the day, are we going to get back to 2%? I would be shocked. I would be shocked, right? But are we going to get to 2.5 to 3% as a steady state? I hope so. That's a good way to measure a healthy economy. Not too much, not too little, just right. Like right in the middle, like the third economist with a rifle, right? Hit. Anyway, I'm Tom Llewellyn. Enjoy your day. Next week, we may talk about trade a little again. It's worthy, so there may be a recipe there we'll talk about. See if that's helpful. Thanks.